Hello, my name is Dennis O'Brien. In 2017, I founded the Space Treaty Project, a scientific and educational nonprofit based in Northern California. Our mission is to give people hope and inspiration by helping the nations of Earth to build a common future. Our current goal is to help the United Nations Committee on Peaceful Uses of Outer Space and its working group on outer space resources in their efforts to draft a new international governance instrument by 2027, incorporating the concept of the commons so that the benefits of outer space can be shared with all of humanity. Those who work in space law and policy are guided by the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, sometimes called the Constitution of Space Law. The first paragraph of Article 1 states, "The exploration and use of outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, shall be carried out for the benefit and in the interests of all countries, irrespective of their degree of economic or scientific development, and shall be the province of all mankind." Although the word commons is not used, this paragraph has been repeatedly cited as a mandate to share the benefits of outer space with all. Sharing is the practical application of the concept of the commons. The two terms are effectively interchangeable concerning outer space activity. The commons that has been discussed most is the resource commons. This includes the traditional commons of materials like minerals and water ice, plus non-material resources like locations, such as peaks of eternal sunlight and spaces in geosynchronous orbit, along with slots on the radio frequency spectrum. The resource commons of outer space is a de jure common pool resource, a term coined by Elinor Ostrom, a Nobel laureate economist. It means that outer space resources are both subtractable, meaning if someone uses some, there is less for others, and also non-excludable, meaning no one can exclude others from accessing them. It is de jure because it is created by law, in this case the Outer Space Treaty. Article 1 mandates free access for all, and Article 2 prohibits any form of appropriation or exclusion. The United Nations has created a working group to consider additional international governance instruments for outer space resources. The working group has until 2027 to complete its work, but it has already produced an outline of topics for the International Space Conference that COPUOS is sponsoring in 2024. Those topics are A. Implications of the legal framework for space resource activities. B. The role of information sharing in supporting space resource activities. C. The scope of future space resource activities. D. Environmental and socio-economic aspects of space resource activities. And E. International cooperation in scientific research and technological development for space resource activities. Items A and C refer directly to the resource commons. For anyone who is concerned about the establishment of exclusion zones that will favor those who get there first, now is the time to lobby your country's leaders to preserve a shared resource commons based on free access and non-appropriation. Recently, more attention has been paid to the information commons. Sharing information has become the hot topic in space law and policy, with a general consensus that we should share as much information, data, and technology as possible. The biggest concerns are export controls based on national security, followed by the proprietary nature of privately held information. Despite these concerns, technology can still be shared through standardization, interoperability, licensing, and capacity building. The Outer Space Treaty calls for sharing information about the nature, conduct, location, and results of outer space activity. The UN Working Group has elevated this topic to item B on the agenda for next year's Outer Space Conference and will almost certainly include it in any proposed agreement. The concept of a responsibility commons is new, but it has existed in practice since humans first began working together. To the extent that there is natural law concerning human rights, there is also natural law concerning human responsibilities. Those responsibilities in outer space have been codified in the Outer Space Treaty, including Article 1 benefits all countries, free access, cooperation in scientific investigation. 2. Non-appropriation, no exclusion. 4. Peaceful use, no military bases, weapons of mass destruction, or testing of weapons of any kind. 9. No harmful contamination, due regard for interests of other countries, no harmful interference. 11. Share information on the nature, conduct, locations, and results of outer space activity. Items D and E of the list of conference topics concerning international cooperation in science, technology, the environment, and the socio-economic impacts of space resource activity refer to the responsibility commons. The commons of time, or a common future, is the most abstract of the four commons, yet it may be the most universal. The word future is not used in the Outer Space Treaty, but it is implied. Article 9's mandate for due regard prohibits harmful interference by one country against the interests of others, but there are no spatial or temporal limitations. For example, a country that is not yet on the moon can still assert its interests if its future activities are threatened, as with an exclusive claim to resources. The concept of a common future was first recognized by the United Nations in 1987. Our common future was produced by the World Commission on the Environment and Development, a UN commission which was created in 1983 to continue the work of the 1972 UN Conference on the Human Environment. The Commission defined sustainable development as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The same standard should now be applied to activities in outer space, including the needs of the generations who will live there. But the concept of a common future predates those conferences. Some date it to the publication of Earthrise, the picture taken in December 1968 when humanity first saw our home planet rise above the horizon of the moon. But it may have been born a year earlier. On April 6, 1967, Sister Edith Keeler, a character in the television show Star Trek, said the following: "Now, I don't pretend to tell you how to find happiness and love when every day is just a struggle to survive. But I do insist that you do survive, because the days and years ahead are worth living for. One day, soon, man is going to be able to harness incredible energies, maybe even the atom, energies that could ultimately hurl us to other worlds in some sort of spaceship. And the men and women who reach out into space will be able to find ways to feed the hungry millions of the world and cure their diseases. They will be able to find a way to give each person hope and a common future. And those are the days worth living for. Over the past 60 years, people have begun to lose faith in their governments, their private institutions, even in humanity itself. Every day we wake up to news of worsening climate change, increasing social unrest, and rising international conflict. To that has now been added the threat of war in outer space. The people of Earth are beginning to despair, wondering if there is anything they can believe in. They are beginning to lose hope. Our mission must be nothing less than to restore that hope, to counter the despair of war and violence and neglect, to give the people of our planet a future they can believe in by helping the nations of Earth to build a common future. For more information, including a link to our petition to share the moon, please visit spacetreaty.org. Thank you for your time and attention.